Greetings, brothers and sisters. Okay, so today's Wednesday, September 4th, and the Dodgy Truther sent me a video in which there is a picture of Dodgy and it says, "Avoid spiritual scams." And the title of the video is, the thumbnail is "Avoid spiritual scams." And Dodgy is in the pranam's position, like he's praying. And it's how to identify your true spiritual guide. And I have just a total aversion to watching anything from Heartfulness or any of the Heartfulness stuff. Like I just can't do it. I mean, if I ever have a thought, I should go check out what's going on Heartfulness YouTube channel. I just can't anymore. But he sent me this video, so I took a look at it. And the video is on a channel entitled Kamlish Dodgy. And they have 7,000 subscribers. And this video had 3,000 views. It came out yesterday. And so he has his own channel. They haven't yet bulked it up with fake subscribers. And so for whatever reason, and I don't know what they're going on in the Heartfulness YouTube channel, but they have these videos, and it's all pictures of Dodgy. Like he's got, and then it has these thumbnails all have a quote, right? It's easier than you think. Before your next meal, when your soul enters the body, dying feels like. What does dying feel like? Change your future now. And then there's a picture of Dodgy. And then there's the title of the video, which is something different. And so this is what they're trying to do with this. And there's, one video with 23,000 views. I don't know if that's fake. The majority of views have under 10,000, a lot of them under 5,000. And so, anyways, you got this channel now. And the video, he talks about the need for a guru in the beginning, how important it is to have a guru. Everyone needs a guru, even avatars need a guru, and that gurus, are important. Well, then he talks about the word he uses here. Let me go hear the word again. I forgot what it was. He says that people have been misguided by these yoga merchants, these so-called yoga merchants, and because they've been misguided by these crooks, he calls them crooks, which is a good word for himself. And he says two things that are hilariously, don't have the ability, he doesn't have the ability to, self-perceive, or how, like all of us who can see through his bullshit can, see that he's a crook. But he says that these gurus, these fake gurus, these bad gurus, are giving good gurus a bad name because people lose faith. With his, what I say all the time about these bogus truthers, right? But he's one of these people, right? Like I say this about the truthers that are like, QBs, and these truthers that are right-wing truthers that, only see half of the problem, and, all these things, right? And so, and then they post willfully or, purposely they post disinformation, and it just contaminates the whole truth community. And he's saying the same thing about these gurus, which of course it does. When you have people who are scammers, people are going to say all gurus are scammers. So he's complaining that these crooks are giving him a bad name, right? That's his first, lack of self-perception. But then he says, if you don't have to give anything, if you're not paying for it, like in the traditional Sajmark system, when you don't charge for the services, then, why not give it a shot? Because, like he's saying that about Sajmark, but the problem is he has all these paid services. Under Chargy at Babaji and Lalaji, everything was free. You could donate, right? They started accepting donations halfway through Babaji's time as master. Now they had to publish books and they had to have ashrams. Before people just came to Babaji's house. But as the mission grew, in one of these birth celebrations, they had to rent a place that was, they had to have a piece of land to have these gatherings because there's hundreds of people, thousands of people eventually. In the beginning, there was just enough people that could fit in his courtyard. So they started taking donations. They built the one ashram, and then, from there. But, donations were voluntary. Like you could if you didn't have the money, you didn't have to pay, and even for gatherings where you were getting food and things like this, right? But Daji has put in these wellness services. He's put in hatha yoga seminars, and he's put in the Brighter Mind scam, which is just a flat out scam, right? And he brings these Brighter Mind kids around, and he pitches this thing as being, whatever it is, this fake, Brighter Mind scam thing. He pitches it, and it's not technically associated with the mission, but it's totally associated with Daji. And so, like, that's a scam that's separate from the organization, but he's talking about all the time, which makes it even more of a scam, right? Plus, he took donations from people. Like, he took people's money that people donated and bought land. People donated money under Chargy because they bought this land under Chargy, right? So this is mission money. And remember, Chargy said, you have to think multiple. When he was nominating Daji, he gave him a few tips of things he'd have to do. And he could have said these things privately, but he didn't. And one of the things was, he goes, you have to remember that you're spending everybody's money. It's not your money, it's everybody's money. This is money that people donated to the mission. And so they took donated money and they bought 1,000 acres of land for this ashram, right? And then he's put up these apartments that turn out to be scams, right? People have lost up to $80,000. I mean, big time scams, real estate fraud, where they put deposits down, they haven't been able to get their money back, and all these things. And so he's got all this stuff now, which is tied where he has, made this into he's monetized the ashram there, and these other things, right? Which people know about. People told me about the real estate scams. Like, I didn't know anything about that. People reached out to me in either the comment section or send emails to me or messages on Facebook or something. I didn't know about any of these things. This has been reported to me by Abhyasis. Everything that I say here about this stuff is either things I see on the internet, but most of it has come from Abhyasis, at least in the beginning, pointing it out to me. Later I did my own research on it and found, that there were these scams, but, it was usually when someone else pointed it out. So there's people who know within the mission organization, they see that there's crookery going on, that he's being a crook, right? And, he's out there talking about crooked gurus. And, the two things that he says about it, I didn't watch the whole thing because it was just, it's just so hard for me to watch the guy. But his inability to self-perceive. Like, you're a crook, right? You're a frickin' crook. You're not, those other guys aren't crooks. You've taken a spiritual organization that built up spiritual capital with men who had, integrity and had values and character qualities, and you've taken their teachings and warped them, bringing in hatha yoga when that was said not to do, right? Not to do that stuff, and then monetizing it and making these wellness seminars and all these other things and going out to these other organizations, partnering with them, bringing in people like Diaper Baba, and you've turned the thing into a joke, right? You've brought in other fake gurus, other people who are scammers into the organization, and then people who are businessmen who are running this thing that aren't spiritual in nature and don't value the Sajmark system for what it's for, and all of them are looking to get a piece of the pie, and that pie is poor people, people who are spiritual seekers who have trust in the mission, and because Chargy dominated you, and because you got those whispers messages where Daji is blessing, where Babaji is blessing you, they think that you're legitimate, and you're stealing from them, right? You're conning these people out of money based in credibility that you didn't create, right? Which is a completely dick move. But then there's comments here, and it says, Daji Pranam, fraud in name of spirituality, has prevailed in history and is common today. Yeah, the guy's doing it. What about the Brighter Mind scam, right? And so there's 14 comments, and they're all Pranams Daji, and never anything to do with, the stuff to do with this, him being a scammer. Like, there's people with hearts and, all emojis and Pranams Daji kind of stuff. There's two different things here. Of course, the Brighter Mind scam is the midbrain activation scam. I've talked about this so much. That was created by other people and was a known scam before Daji got in on it. And there must be doubt within it's so goofy, and it's so, just low consciousness and so stupid, right? The people who are educated and There's all these Europeans and, these boomer hippie Europeans and Americans who are scientifically oriented and they're liberal, and they got to be looking at this going, "You kidding me?" Like, they're looking at this brighter minds bullshit. I mean, there's no way they can just not have some doubts, right? And there's that. And that's just a straight up scam. But then there's these other things that were the previous masters said, let's not do these things. These things shouldn't be a part of the mission. And Daji's made them a part of a mission, right? And he's charged for them. He's monetized these things, whether it be hatha yoga, whether it be new age healthcare stuff, wellness, whatever it is, seminars. He's monetized it, and that was never supposed to be, because they have this giant ashram they can't pay for, and Daji doesn't have the support that Charji did, and it's just falling apart, right? And he's had his own financial issues and things, and so he's a straight up crook, and he's talking about crooks here. Well, it's so obvious that he is. Like, it's at least you should have doubts. Like, you should say, well, why are you doing things that Charji never did? And once you open your mind to the possibility that this guy has fallen, then it's easy to see. But until you get to that point, it was a little bit difficult for me even. And, I had every reason, I had every reason to believe in him at first, because I saw him be made into the master. Like, I had those experiences. So there was, I had to overcome, my experience of him getting the work done to him, and him being spiritual, and him being, a good abhyasi before he became master. He had these tendencies to what he's become now. Like, I had to accept that there was a spiritual fall. And there was, there's the master of the system. He was the legitimate master of the system. And having a guru or a master is imperative to the spiritual development in the Sajmark system. It says it over and over again, the importance of a master. But we don't have one now, right? So we have to do without, right? That's sucky, because it's definitely, there's a whole giant hole in the, the Sajmark system right now. Anyways, I just thought I'd share these thoughts with you. It's kind of interesting. I'm going to put this video up on my backup channel, but it'll also be a part of the 156th edition of the Journey series. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paramano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.